Another real significant insect in lakes is the Callibaetis. This right here is what I call the Gilled nymph Callibaetis. The tail are ostrich tips. The body is ostrich. The ribbing is gold wire. The shell back is medallion sheeting. The little legs on here are natural brown partridge. And the body or the thorax area here is called awesome opossum. So let's tie this furry little critter up. To start off with, we're going to use the Tiemco 200R. Most generally, I like it from a size 14 to an 18, with the size 16 being the most popular. So we'll take our thread, we'll get it going on here, and we'll go down to the bend of the hook, just about right there. Take off the excess thread. Now we're ready to tie in the tail, which is going to be ostrich. And since this is a Callibaetis, we're using a combination of colors of kind of a gray olive and a tan. Since the bug has a little more tan to it, we're going to select 2 fibers of tan, making sure the tips are not broken. Then we're going to select 1 fiber of the olive. Then what we're going to do is even up the tips, just like so. Kind of group them together, and that's going to be our tail. Come in, make it about half the body length. Get them out of the way there. Take 1 turn. Take another turn. And that's all we need for right now. And then we'll take our gold ribbing, and we're going to tie this in and just wrap it on there, tie it down like so. And then for the larger size gilled nymphs, such as this one, I like to form a little bit of an underbody, and for that I'm going to use superfine dubbing in the Callibaetis color. Take some of this out of here. That ought to be enough. Get our ostrich out of the way. And just put that ostrich in the material clip. And then we just kind of tease out a little bit of the dubbing. Get it on here, nice and smooth and thin. And that should be enough. Since the fly is pretty slender anyway, you don't need a whole lot of an underbody. Just a little bit, just to show that it tapers from the tail up into the thorax area. Just like so. Now we're going to take our ostrich. Now instead of just starting to wrap it, what I do is I wet my fingers in my mouth and just come in and start twisting it. What I'm doing is creating an ostrich rope, and it's combining the olive and the tan feathers all together. Now I'll start to wrap this forward, and you might have to give it a few twists as you wrap forward. One wrap right in front of the other. And by twisting the ostrich, you can notice how the fiber sticks straight out instead of back or front at an angle. And this is real important for when we bring our ribbing forward. Then we get up to our thorax area, tie it off. A couple turns of thread, take off our excess. Now we're going to take our ribbing and bring it forward. Try not to tie down too many fibers of the ostrich, but if you do, you can always come back and use your bodkin and pick out the fibers if there are too many. Continue wrapping our wire forward, just like so, and tie it off. Trim off the excess. Then we'll just kind of bring our thread forward a little bit. And we'll check to make sure none of them are too much of it's tied in. It looks pretty fuzzy to me. So we'll put it at the lockout of 180 degrees. We'll come in, just take one couple turns, snips it with our scissors there to get most of the ostrich off. Now as we look down on it, you can't really see the ribbings here. To eliminate that problem, what I'm going to do is take my bodkin and lighter, and we're going to heat it up. Just like so. Once it gets nice and warm, we're going to come up to the fly and singe it. That way, it looks just a lot more natural. And you get down into the ribbing by singeing it down there, and you don't jeopardize your gills along the side. Next thing we're going to do is take some medallion sheeting and cut a strip for our wing case. What we'll do is come in, cut a strip of it, just like so. Then we're going to come up here and tie it in. We'll wrap back right to where we left off with our ostrich. Tie it in so it just molds around the hook shank. Just like that. And then we're going to take some possum here. I like to use natural brown for the Callibaetis. And we'll just dub it on here, but not real tight. We want it to be a little buggy looking. And wrap back onto the sheeting a little bit. Yeah, it's plenty big enough. Add a little bit more dubbing here. Just like so. Continue wrapping right in front here. But leave a little bit of room right behind the eye. Like that, for right in here. Because now we're going to tie in some partridge legs. Here and pick up some partridge. Grab the partridge feather here for our legs. Then what we're going to do is just trim out the center portion so we have a nice V. And we'll kind of get rid of that end piece there. We're going to set it up here, measure the length of it. To do that, I hold the wing case straight up and down, just so it goes beyond that a little bit. Then I'll come in with my left hand and just pinch it alongside the hook shank. And then I'll tie in the partridge right behind the eye with several turns of thread. And then we'll trim off our excess, like so. Then we're going to come in with our fingernail, push down so it separates into two groups. Pull our wing case through and tie it down, just like so. Take a few turns of thread, make sure it's tied in good. Cut off the excess and form a nice smooth head, just like that. And then we're ready to whip finish it off. Take a few turns. Cut off our excess thread. And we got a scraggler there. And I like to flare out the legs just a little bit so they have a little bit more movement in the water. Then what I'll do is I'll turn it upside down, come in with my scissors, just trim it flat, just like so. Now if you're going to be using a gilled nymph to tie like a drake fly, a big green drake, you want to come in and use a needle to singe this just like we did the top, so it just looks a little bit neater. And that's the gilled nymph. The gilled nymph is by far my favorite mayfly imitation in lakes as well as streams. But when tied in this Callibaetis color, it's deadly.